So we start now. Everybody
Yep.
ready?
Yeah, we are all
Okay.
excited.
Okay. At the beginning, thank you everyone for joining our data science seminar series today. It's hosted in collaboration with the AI Lab and the Big Data Initiative and URI Meetup. So today our guest speaker is Florence Hudson. The bio is very rich and very long, so I'll try to get as much as I can. So Florence Hudson is Executive Director of the Northeast Big Data and Innovative Hub at Columbia University, founder and CEO of FD Hint, a global advanced technology and diversity and inclusion consulting firm, and a special advisor for the NSF Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. She is a former IBM Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of Internet 2, Senior Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer, and the Aerospace Engineer at Grumman and NASA. She is the Chair of the Global IEEE UL B2933 Working Group on Clinical IoT, Data and Device Interoperability with TIPPSS, Trust, Identity, Privacy, Protection, Safety, and Security. She has published several books in different topics, including TIPPSS. She serves for the on the board for Princeton University, Stony Brook University, blockchain in healthcare, and IEEE Engineering in Medicine and Biology Society. She graduated from Princeton University and executive business education from Harvard and Columbia University. Let's welcome our speaker today, Florence Hudson. Thank you so much for joining us for the data science seminar series today. Thank you. It's yours now.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And it's wonderful to be here. I'm so happy to meet all of you. I wish I could see all of you, but I can't when I'm projecting my screen. So we're going to talk today about data science for good, which is really what we're focused on at the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub. And we'll talk about it in the context of creating meaningful societal and scientific impact through data science. So you heard a lot about me, so I don't have to talk about that. What I wanted to do is they've asked me, and I usually do this when I speak at universities or colleges or even at elementary schools, I talk a little bit about my background, my personal journey. So since this is a more mature age group, I tell you my real story. So everyone has speed bumps in life. And one of the messages I want to give you as I start out today is that, life can be a little bumpy. We all have speed bumps, but you get to decide that you're going to keep going. So my story started with my mother died the day I was born and my father left. I never met him, and my grandparents legally adopted me. And so when things like this happen in your life, you can decide to be a victim or you can decide to rise above it. And you always take it with you, but it's still there. So some of the pictures you see here include my brothers and my sister, who are actually my uncles and my aunt, because they were my real mother's brothers and sister. This is my grandmother who brought me up. My family religion is very important to me. And then I call a lot of these my Florence Gump pictures. I don't know if any of you saw Forrest Gump, but he has all these pictures of like really famous people in him. And people look at him like, how did that happen? And he's like, I just keep running, so that's what I do. I just keep going. And so me and Hillary Clinton, this would have been a cooler picture if she was president, but she's not. An EVP that we're still close with, my girlfriends and I, who were all VPs at IBM. And then these are some of the mentees I've had: a Nobel laureate, Daniel Kahneman, Chief Justice Sonia Sotomayor, a lot of astronauts, since I'm an aerospace engineer, who were just so inspiring. And then my first mentor, actually after my brother, my first official mentor when I was at Princeton, who won the Medal of Science, Innovation, and Technology from President Obama. So she got me my job at NASA as well. So what I would suggest is do what you like, keep going, don't give up. And network with people that you think are really interesting, that you can learn from. So that's a little bit of my personal story. Then my professional journey. So I was fortunate to get a Grumman Scholarship when I was graduating from high school. I went to a little high school out on Long Island called Center Ridge High School in New York. So I worked for Grumman Aerospace Corporation. The scholarship came with 4 summers of a job, which was really cool. My first summer after high school. And then my last summer, I actually worked at the Jet Propulsion Lab at NASA out in California. And I worked on future missions around Jupiter, which are actually coming to fruition now. I worked on sample return missions from Callisto and Ganymede, which are a couple of the Galilean satellites around Jupiter, but now they plan to go to Europa because they found water closer to the surface, and you need water to do electrolysis and get oxygen so you can make fuel so you can come home. So that's the net of that. So that's some of the work that I did early on. Then I graduated from Princeton. I worked at Hewlett Packard, HP for a little while. Then I went to IBM. I was eventually, not right away, obviously, a vice president and chief technology officer. Then I retired from there and I flunked retirement, and I became a senior vice president and chief innovation officer at a little firm called Internet2, which has a 100 gigabit per second network to help researchers share data around the US. Then I flunked retirement again. I retired from there, and then I started my own consulting firm, FD Hint, which is still going on now. And then the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub, who I had been working with since 2015 when it was started, and it got their first award from NSF. They asked me to be an interim executive director because the executive director was moving on. I said, sure. And then they asked me to stay. I said, okay, I'm available. So that's what I do now, and it's really fun. I published some books. This was the one in 2019. I have another one that should be coming out this year, and it's Women Securing the Future with Tips for IoT. And this is an area that I think is very important as we look at more connected data, data sharing, connected devices, clinical Internet of Things, all sorts of Internet of Things devices and sensors and actuators. And TIP stands for Trust, Identity, Privacy, Protection, Safety, and Security. And you may be able, depending on what URI has in a relationship with Springer Publishing, you may be able to download it for free. I know at Columbia, the students can because they have a deal with Springer with their ebook. So you all may be able to read it for free if you want. And it's a compendium with about 15 other women authors. One of the messages in the little pink box at the bottom, pink is my favorite color still, always was, so I didn't look like a vice president sometimes, but I was myself, is that there are other things you can do beside the actual path you're on, your professional path, to help you aspire and gain other opportunities. So on the bottom, I've always been a volunteer. I actually worked for the Society of Human Engineers. I was an executive on loan out of IBM for a year. I've been on multiple boards. You could do that with nonprofits in your community. You get really great experience. I did executive business education because I was a geek. I was an aerospace mechanical engineer. They were like, you can't do business. I'm like, yes, I can. So you just have to get the credentials to help you move forward. I do a lot of public speaking. I became an author and editor at the Huffington Post, a whole bunch of books, you know, Wiley, Elsevier, Springer, a bunch of publishers. And I'm on the editorial board for the journal Blockchain Healthcare Today. So these actually supported my journey and gave me confidence and gave me experience to be able to go higher. So my suggestion is see what things you can do on the side. I mean, this is a long list, but I've been around a long time, so you don't have to do it all at the same time. But I really, you know, would like you to think about that. So that's a little bit about my journey. Now, this is what I do now. And so I'm executive director for the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub, which is really a fun job. And so this is my team. We actually have an open position, an operations and communications manager. If anyone's interested, you know, they need some experience to do that, but they could look it up at the Columbia website. And these are the 7 students on my team, which are all Columbia students, and they're wonderful, and they lead projects and manage projects and do our communications. T is on the phone with us today, online with us today, and she leads our website updates, and she leads all sorts of cool things. And she's joining us today so she can provide her perspective if you like, and she'll probably write a blog post afterward. And if any of the students are interested in participating in that, she'd be happy to collaborate. We're a very collaborative hub. So what is this Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub? Well, It actually is a community convener, collaboration hub, and catalyst for data science innovation, specifically in the Northeast region. There are 4 big data hubs around the country. We're the Northeast hub, which is the 9 states from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then you push it up to Maine. Then there's a South hub, and kind of headquartered in the Southwest, but goes all the way over to Texas. Then there's a Midwest hub, which is the middle of the country, and a West hub, and we all work together. And what we do is amplify successes and share credit across the community for data science innovation. And we always are building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community to leverage data science, teach data science, learn data science, apply data science. So our 4 focus areas that align our activities are education and data literacy, health, urban rural communities, and responsible data science, including security, privacy, and ethics. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our initiatives. And I'm actually going to be pre-announcing a new program today because you are all so proactive in reaching out to me. We've been planning this new volunteer program. And so I'll talk about that at the end, but you'll see throughout here student volunteer opportunities on the different pages. So what I'll do is take you through some of the programs. This is on our About page. If you went to anybigdatahub.org/about, and you can do that now if you want, you'll see these different programs and projects, and I'll talk about those now. So before we get into the specific projects, it's been really fun at the hub, and actually our community has doubled since 2019. We have added a COVID Information Commons community. We added a Northeast Student Data Core, and between them, they've added like 1,000 people to our community, which is kind of amazing. And so we're always interested in more people joining, so we hope you join us too. So now let's jump into a couple of these areas. So education and data literacy. So in this area, if you went to our website, you looked under focus areas, you would see that our objectives are to increase the awareness of data science, to increase the access of data science education, and therefore improve data literacy, especially with a focus on underserved communities. And those are communities that can be underserved in multiple ways. It could be that they don't have access to data science resources. It could be they can't afford to go to school right now, but they could be really smart. And I'd love to help them get genned up to be able to do data science. It could be that somebody is looking to get into a university data science program and they don't have the prerequisites right now, right? And so we offer things like that. So I'll talk about that in the Northeast Student Data Core. We also have a data science resource repository that actually captures a lot of our data science programs and puts it all in one place. And as you can see, so the blue outlines, the light blue outlines are student volunteer opportunities. So the first one, the Northeast Student Data Core, is a community developed initiative that provides resources and opportunities for students to learn data science with a special focus on underserved institutions, students, and communities, but it's for everybody. We actually have about 700 people that registered for our first webinar in February, which totally surprised us. And they're from all over the world, actually. We have people in Australia, Lebanon, Germany, and then all over the United States. And there are 3 teams and focus areas in the Northeast Student Data Core, and we have a founding committee of about 24 people that you could see if you go to this website, any big data hub, oops, I'm missing a letter, I'll have to fix that, datahub.org/NSDC. And we have the content and pedagogy team, which actually helped us pull together the information in our Learner Central, which you can find, and Educator Central, and then helped us curate it to make it an educational paradigm, not just throw the stuff up there. We have a peer instructor and mentoring team. And so what we're looking for is students that would like to participate in that. And that can be through our Slack channel, which you can get to through our main website. And then the outreach team, which actually puts together our bi-monthly data science career panels and also helps find internship and job opportunities for students. So our next NSDC Data Science Career Panel is April 16th. It's a Friday, and it's 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, as you can see. And if you go to our main website, anybigdatahub.org/NSDC for the Northeast Student Data Core, you can join our mailing list and you could register for the webinar. And as you can see, we have a co-moderator who's a student, one of Tia's colleagues, Haley Stewart, who's wonderful, and she co-moderates all these panels. And then we have a professional. I did the first one, Farouk Garamani is doing next one. And then we have 4 people that are in data science, either learning data science. Martin Pavlovsky is a PhD candidate at Temple University in Philadelphia. Professors like Patricia Ordonez, who is at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras, Jason Williams, who is at the Cold Spring Harbor Lab DNA Learning Center, which is very cool. And then Sanjana Reddy Paznuri, who is a data scientist. And she actually is pretty young in her career, but she's already had 4 data science jobs. And so they're going to talk about why did they go into data science? How do you find a job? How do you find internships? How do you use data science? Really exciting. So we really encourage you to participate if you can. And actually in that webinar, what we'll be looking for is if anybody wants to participate and help with webinar support, helping with Q&A or helping us, live stream to YouTube, depending on your skills, we're more than happy to have you jump on board through our new volunteer program I'll be talking about at the end. Then in our health focused area, we have 2 main projects. One is our COVID Information Commons, which was actually funded under a separate award from NSF. So we have our Northeast Big Data Hub Award, which was in 2015. Then we got a reboot in 2019. We just went through our midterm site review. So we're waiting to see if we get our funding for the next 2 years. And in the meantime, we have a few other awards from NSF. One is the COVID Information Commons, which was called a Rapid Award. NSF Rapid Awards are Rapid Response Research Awards. They come out with them when there's a critical need in society. And so they could have rapids on fires, on floods. This one was on COVID. And they gave out over $70 million for COVID Rapid Awards. So we got one of them. It was $200,000. And they asked us to create a website where people could find COVID award information. So that's what we did, to create the COVID Information Commons. And I'll tell you more about that. Then we also have another really cool project, which is the Large Scale Observational Health Research project, which includes an exposome data warehouse. And that actually resulted in a startup called xy.ai that was created. You could read all about this on our website. And what they do is they look at your genome and your exposome to see how those correlate with your eventual health. And so your genome is, how you were born, what's inside of you. Your exposome is what you're exposed to. So it could be pollution. It could be lack of food. It could be low iron. It could be something else. And so what they do is look at how those come together to actually influence who you eventually become and your eventual health. So very interesting. Once again, scientific and societal impacts. So if we look at the COVID Information Commons, and this is a volunteer opportunity because we have webinars every month, and we would be happy to have students who want to participate in them and help with the webinar support. But the COVID Info Commons serves as an open resource to explore NSF-funded research addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. We have 3 different search tools, and it's at covidinfocommons.net. And you can look at PIs, which are principal investigators, which are researchers. And some people think it's a private eye, like Harriet the Spy, but it's not. So a PI is a researcher, for those who may be new to research. And so you can actually go in and look at the NSF COVID awards and learn about the principal investigators, the researchers that got the funding for each of the awards. You can look at collaboration opportunities, link to research output, look at their ORCID ID, which is to look at all their publications and their work experience. And so it's very interesting. And then we also have a Research Explorer machine learning map tool, which I'll show you a little bit about. And then we also have an NSF director at Simple Search, which is not as exciting, but still valuable. So this program, this NSF COVID Rapid Award, is actually funded by one of the newer programs in NSF called the Convergence Accelerator. And the idea here is kind of what you all are doing in data science, is having a multidisciplinary approach. So if you look at the COVID website, COVID Info Commons, or KIC website as we call it, you'll see that you can search by directorate. So that would be like, computer information science and engineering, or it could be bio, or it could be societal, or it could be, engineering. But the idea here is, how do we work together in a multidisciplinary way to attack the COVID pandemic? So that's one of the opportunities for the Convergence Accelerator. So the purpose and plans, first they came to us, it was in March of last year when I was just interim executive director at the Hub. And they asked us to create this COVID Information Commons. So I said, okay. So I went to the NSF website, and there were only 32 NSF Rapid Awards for COVID. I was like, oh, this is cake. I could do this on my laptop. By the time we got the award, there were 723. So we couldn't do it on my laptop. So we got Columbia University Information Technology involved, the libraries team, to help us look at how to gather the data and represent it. And we created an initial MVP, minimal viable product. We got the award in May, and we had it up in July. And then we had 2 search mechanisms, and then we added more, and we added more awards. What I always wanted to do from the beginning is not just have the NSF COVID Rapid Awards, because there are other different award mechanisms in NSF. So as you can see, we grew it. And so we have 990 awards now that are coronavirus related awards. The rapid ones, rapid research, response research. There are other awards called EAGRs, which are early concept grants for exploratory research. There are SBIRs, which are Small Business Innovation Research Awards, and STTRs, which are Small Business Technology Transfer Awards. And in case you are a researcher or become a researcher and you want to go after these types of awards, the SBIR and STTR name is actually common across multiple agencies. So NIH, National Institutes of Health, has these, and these are for small businesses that want to get a new innovation funded, which is really exciting. I'm actually an NSF reviewer on a lot of these different award types since like 2017. So as I mentioned, we have PI information or principal investigator researcher information in there. It's very user-friendly. We organize relevant information in multiple ways, and it's really a global resource, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Our next phase is to expand to awards from more US federal agencies. We're already collaborating with NIH, the National Institutes of Health, and we're going through the process now of figuring out how does the database have to look to actually have the NIH data and the NSF data, because they have different metadata about their awards. So we're going to be asking the researchers what they think after we put together a little mock-up, which we have right now. And then the other thing is NSF has asked us to think beyond COVID. God willing, beyond COVID is a thing, but to think beyond just COVID and consider what it looks like when you put pandemics, natural hazards, and disasters together. So if you think about this, I know last year, being in this space and just being an engineer and having friends in New Orleans, when the hurricane hit New Orleans and it was in the middle of the pandemic. So when they evacuate for hurricanes, they like throw everybody in a gym or in the Superdome. You can't do that when there's a pandemic. You can't have everybody on top of each other, right? Because you may save them from the flood and they may die from COVID. So you really have to think of how to manage this, what type of information and insight you can get and provide that you can create as a researcher and then provide to the responders so that we can do things better and keep people safer. So that's what we're going to be looking at, which is very exciting. And I actually have a student that I met who's a freshman at CMU, Carnegie Mellon, who is interested in pandemics and natural hazards, which is amazing to me that she already knows that. And so she is actually a volunteer with me now. And she comes with me virtually when we interview subject matter experts in this area. So PIs are researchers that have, multi-million-dollar awards from NSF in floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, all sorts of cool stuff. So if anybody is interested in participating in that too, I'm open to more volunteers in that space. So now a little run through the COVID Information Commons, which you can go to and play with yourself now or later. And so I mentioned we got the COVID Rapid Award in May of 2020, and we launched it, our MVP, in July. And I mentioned a lot of what they have. What was very interesting is we thought we were just creating a portal that people could go to. So we decided to do a launch webinar. And to our shock, we had 178 people show up in July. We were like, oh my gosh, this is like a thing. People really want to be involved in this. And I always want to have the human dimension. I want people to see who are the humans working on this stuff and what are they doing. And so I begged a researcher to present a lightning talk, which is 5 to 7 minutes. Can you tell us what you're doing? By the time of the webinar, 42 researchers had offered to do one. And I was like, I can't fit you all. I only have an hour and I have to present the tools. So we created a COVID Information Commons webinar series. We call them Kick Webinars, and we do them every month. And we've had 44 research lightning talks already. Our next one is on April 14th. And the link is in the following in here, but you could also go to covidinfocommons.net and look at events. And it's not just information about the awards. What we also did is we created a Kick Student Paper Challenge, and actually the papers were due April 1st. So but it's still on the top front of our website. We had about 20 students provide abstracts. I'm not sure how many papers we got. I asked one of the students working on that for me. And then we also publish things like the NIH Data National Service Scholar Program awards that they're interested in. And here you can see the NSF Simple Search we talked about by directorate. But what we also did is you can see there are other tabs here. So beyond the Kik search tools, and we actually have user tutorial videos if you're not sure how to use the search tools. We have Meet the Researchers, where all the 44 researcher lightning talks are actually all posted there. They're 5 to 7 minutes each, so it's a quick watch, and you could look at any of those. We also interview the researchers and ask them, so why did you do this research, and what do you think is going to come out of it? We also have an opportunities and resources area, which includes 50 data sets from 6 continents about COVID from around the world, 36 groups and guides, research funding, internationally in the US, the Kik Student Paper Challenge, all sorts of stuff. And so it's really very interesting. And if you want to go there anytime and use it, I think it would be wonderful. So we had this portal, and then as I mentioned, we created this community because people really cared and they wanted to stay involved. So this is from our September Research Lightning Talk webinar. And you can see a number of the researchers that we had. Eric is from University of Texas, and Nora Garza is from Laredo College in Texas, and Helen Yang is one of our students who actually leads these webinars now for us, and a number of researchers from around the country. So as we've moved forward, we now have 1,200 people in the Kik community, which is kind of amazing. And then we also have done 6 external conference presentations, which has been great because it allows these researchers to do one of the things that NSF asked you, is that they need intellectual merit in your award and broader impact. It allows them to broaden their impact because they're presenting on these other webinars and conferences. And then we do these ongoing things. So please feel free to join us. We would love it. The next webinar is April 14th, as I mentioned. And it is a student volunteer opportunity because, as I mentioned, we live stream to YouTube, and we do a blog afterward. And there's an opportunity for you to get involved if you'd like and talk about scientific and societal impact. Trying to help us with the COVID pandemic is a wonderful thing, and also to prepare for future pandemics and try to reduce and mitigate the impact that they have. So this is the April 14th webinar. It's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for an hour. This is the bit.ly 2021-0414-COVID, but you can just go to covidinfocommons.net, and you can see we have researchers from around the country, from Rutgers, and this is a small business. It's probably an SBIR award, Northeastern, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Arizona State, Clark University, and UCAR, the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research. So it's very interesting. So then if you go into the COVID Info Commons a little more, and let's say that you're like, wow, gosh, I'm really interested in this area. I'd love to collaborate with somebody. So when you go into the PI database, let's say, you say you want to look at epidemiology or knowledge graphs or whatever you want to say, then different researchers will come up. This is one of them, Peter Rose, so at the University of California at San Diego. And he did a great job filling out his PI survey. So we have his email address, we have his ORCID ID, which is a hot link to see his publications and things. And for those of you who don't have an ORCID ID yet, it's free. So you could go get one and start putting your publications and experience in there. Once again, I'm trying to think about how I can help you prepare for your future. And then these are websites to results from his research. There's an ArcGIS population dashboard for San Diego by zip code, so you can see how they're doing research. Here's his lightning talk. And then he also talks about what he expects to have research for his research output, and then collaboration opportunities. You could see what he's looking for, and maybe it's interesting to you and you could reach out to him. Many of these PIs also have students working with them, and it could be that you can collaborate with them. And if you reach out, you can find out. Now, the other thing I talked about in the COVID Info Commons is the machine learning generated map. So this is actually powered by Lingo4G Explorer in collaboration with the National Science Foundation. And it provides these really cool maps. So depending on if you're right-brained or left-brained, you're graphical and a finite element modeler like I am, you get to look at both sides of this. And so this shows the 723 rapid awards I was mentioning. And then it does a query by the type of award that it is. You can see over here, for those who are data cleansers, it says it could be COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. This is because we know in the database it's misspelled on some of the awards. So this makes sure it's complete. So that's another thing to consider. But as you can see, it actually does some pattern recognition, this machine learning tool, and it shows you the number of awards that are in these different topical areas. So as any topographical map, where it looks like there's a higher mountain, there's more information. So there are more awards down here related to proteins or viral or survey or media or academic learning, you know, the impact of COVID on academic learning. And then any of these you click on, you can actually see more about the award over here. The abstract, which is the information about the award that's on the NSF database. The type of award, this is a rapid, the number, the institution, the PI, their email address, what state they're in. A lot of very interesting information, and you could add things here, and I'll show you how to do that. It also gives you, beyond the regular map, a tree map, and this gives you a clustered view of the award. So, and the machine learning map does this clustering for you, unless you put in a specific request here, which I'll show you. So here you can see, you know, survey, distancing, conducted behavior. These are some of the keywords here, and these are a number of the awards. This one is on structures, proteins, interaction, and viral. So different clustering. And what the researchers do is look at this, see where they show up, and then look for people in their cluster that they can collaborate with. What you could also do is specify what you want. So let's say you want to look at the awards in California. I could say end state California. So these are all the ones in California. And I've said I'd like to see it by institution, so I know where they're doing this research. But you could also go in and change it to PI. And so this same exact view, if you look up here as an example where it has University of Southern California, if I click on PI and change it, oh, I know it's Dominique Duncan at USC. How cool. Or it could be, who's the one at UC Irvine? Oh, Gloria, that's where Gloria is. So it gives you a very powerful view into this data so that you can get more insight to actually take action. You could also query a certain topical area like epidemiology and see who's doing that. Once again, you could click around and see what institution they're in. And then this is an example of one of the PIs, Sarah Bowman, who's at the University at Buffalo in New York. And so she actually looked at her cluster, and she already is collaborating with a number of these people, but then she found others, which is really cool. And she also was contacted by a student studying open access data in South Korea, who found her lightning talk through the Kik portal, reached out to her, pulled in their mentor from the UK. So they have a South Korea, UK, US collaboration going on for COVID. How cool is that? And we know it's a global pandemic. So this tool actually is allowing all sorts of collaboration and multidisciplinary collaboration, which is very exciting. So it definitely has societal and scientific impact. Another one of our focus areas is responsible data science, which includes security, privacy, and ethics. And you can see there are a couple of opportunities here to volunteer. So this is one of them, and this is the next one, actually. So this is an event on April 12th. It's Cybersecurity as Big Data Science Interactive Workshop. And if you're interested in cybersecurity and data science together, then I would be, I'd be happy to have you join us. It's for all this stuff is free that we do. It's your tax dollars at work, as I like to say. And so you can join us. If you'd like to volunteer, there's an opportunity to help with the webinar. Another series we have going on is the Global Connected Healthcare Cybersecurity Workshop Series, which is the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub working with IEEE Standards Association. Since a lot of you are in computer science, you probably know who IEEE is, the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and also the IEEE UL Standards Working Group that I chair on clinical IoT data and device interoperability with TIPS, which is trust, identity, privacy, protection, safety, and security. And so the goal of these workshops is to help us understand the issues in connected healthcare cybersecurity and then come up with a standards roadmap. Our next workshop is April 28th. Rapporteurs needed, which are people who take notes during the breakout sessions and then help us put together the final report. And then we have 3 more workshops planned this year. One on data and device identity validation interoperability, connected healthcare integrated systems, and then technology and policy considerations. Because as you can imagine, privacy has a lot of policy considerations around the planet. And so once again, we always bring students along with us. And so this is a view of the advisory board. And you can see we have a number of professionals involved from around the world. Nada's in the UK. I think Vodis is on here and he is in Greece. And then we have our workshop student assistant facilitators or rapporteurs. T is actually one of them. She did a wonderful job on the first workshop we had in February. And then you can see the others. And we can add you to this list too, if you're available on April 28th or for future workshops. Another cool thing that we have is this, there's a program called FIDES, which is a framework for integrative data equity systems. And as we know in data science, data ethics and data equity are very important. And so this is actually a really cool comic series that was created by one of the FIDES PIs at NYU, New York University, Julia Stoyanovich, and one of her colleagues. And this is on our website under this, the Learner Central Data Science Ethics, which is our Northeast Student Data Core, as well as in our Data Science Resource Repository. So if you go to our website and put in Data Responsibly comic series, it'll come up so you don't have to go fishing for it. And these are actually, kind of like, I would call them, they're data science comics. They're not like, see Spot Run. These are about data science ethics, but it presents it in a very interesting way. And they're available in English, French, and Spanish, which is wonderful as also we look at being more diverse and inclusive. Another thing we do, and I wanted to brag on URI, is that we actually have a seed fund program. And we gave out our first seed fund awards that last year. And actually there are 2 at URI, which I thought was very exciting. And so these are to seed new data science projects in our 4 focus areas. So health, education, data literacy, responsible data science, and urban to rural communities, which is very cool. Another area is the Urban to Rural Communities focus area. And here we actually have an Urban to Rural Communities working group, and we're looking for students that may be interested in participating in that. You can go to our website and look at Urban to Rural, but you could see here that we do things around smart cities, like the Smart Cities Data Exchange. And we also do a fair amount of things around water management. And that's one of the focus areas that we work with the other hubs on. So if any of you are into energy, the environment, urban, rural issues, salinity, any of that stuff, let us know. And so this is how you let us know. So this is the new program I'm announcing for you today, and we'll be announcing it, I think, more broadly, but I wanted to test drive it with you today. So we're calling this the REAL program, the Northeast Hub REAL program, and it's research experience and leadership opportunities for students. So as I looked at what we've been doing with the 7 students on our team, they're getting research experience working in the COVID Info Commons world. They're getting leadership opportunities by managing these projects and the webinars and things. And I'd love to open this more broadly to other students. So we're creating the REAL program for that purpose. So these are volunteer roles, and these are examples of what you could do. Our cybersecurity as big data science interactive workshop, April 12th, we could use some additional webinar support. Our COVID Information Commons webinars, which we do monthly, the next one, April 14th, you could volunteer for that. The NSDC chapter program for our Northeast Student Data Core, we're developing chapters in the different schools. That was brought forward by Temple University, who really wanted to do that, which we thought was a great idea. You could help with that. And our Connected Healthcare Cybersecurity Workshop series, next one, April 28th. Rapporteur is a reporter, reporting the breakout sessions. The Kick to Picnic, we call it, Pandemic Info Commons and Natural Hazard and Disaster Info Commons, Urban to Rural, and social media marketing if you'd like to tweet for us or whatever. So to apply, you can submit a Google form, as you can see at that URL, which is a bit.ly at NEBD Hub Real. And so this is announced today for the first time outside the family. And we hope that some of you want to join us. And we'd love your feedback on the idea. So join the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub community. We'd love to have you participate. You can apply to be a real volunteer. You can sign up for the mailing list. You can join an event, check out the Northeast Student Data Core. And anytime you can reach out to us at contact@nebigdatahub.org. And it's all available through our regular website, nebigdatahub.org. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. And then what I thought we could do is spend a little time in Q&A so that I could get to know you and see if you have any questions or comments. And I think we could go to that now, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the impressive talk, Florence. Thank you. Start with the questions. If you have questions, please, you can write in the chat area, or you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Florence. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can, thank you.
Yeah, very great. Thanks for the, all the information, the info comment, the COVID info commons, and, just exposing me to things like tips. It's very valuable to me in the field that I work in as a librarian at a business university. Just helping students look for opportunities, the IoT, Internet of Things, for example. It's very valuable to me just to be exposed to all this information. But I also wanted to ask too, like, regarding like data science for good, right?
Mm.
How important do you think it is? I mean, beyond the data science and the technical work that's involved in getting the data together and processing it and, statistically analyzing it, how important do you feel it is for students also to kind of draw inspiration or draw ideas from humanities and social sciences? Because the problems, even like with something as, grounded in science as COVID, for example, a lot of the public health issues that you see cropping up and being discussed have, revolve around things that are also studied in the social sciences and in the humanities.
You're absolutely right. I'm really glad you asked that question. Very nice to meet you. Is it Viral?
Yeah.
How do you say your name?
Viral.
Viral. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So thank you, Viral. And actually, we love to talk to librarians because we think you're a great channel into the digital humanities and all sorts of humans, that may not be in a specific data science or domain science area where they're using data science a lot, like high energy physics or something like that. There are so many other people because, as you say, data science can apply to any area. Scientists have always used data. That's what we did. That's what we do. We just didn't call it data science. It's like, bell bottoms are now flares or whatever they are, boot cut, like we always had it. Now it just has a different name. And so now we actually have permission to apply it in a lot of different areas. In the financial services industry, they were called quants years ago. I don't know if you were around then, but that's what we call them. And so now they're data scientists and data analysts and data researchers and missy thatty. So we definitely see a real focus in the digital humanities and humanities in general and social scientists. As an example, in the picnic work, the pandemic and natural hazard information commons, there's a group that I'm working with which actually takes a real social science view of natural hazards and disasters. How are the humans participating? And it's all types of humans. It's the humans who are affected by the actual natural hazard. It's the ones that actually can help if there's a disaster. They're the ones who have to protect themselves. There are the Air Force people that actually go out there in reconnaissance after a disaster and, looking at the information. And I was talking to one of the researchers at Texas A&M about this, and they're doing a lot of this at University of Colorado, is that they said that, when you're responding to a natural disaster, your heart's in it too, right? It's not just logical. And they said the pilots get so tired and the fatigue they have is equivalent to being drunk when they're flying because they're so fatigued and they're so worried, right? And so what we need to do is look at that information and see, what should we do about that? How do we protect them? How do we get the information that we need while still taking care of the humans in the air, on the ground? So there are a lot of issues like that. And when you get into these specific use cases, it becomes more apparent. Working with FEMA, working with the Firefighters Association, working with EMS workers, all the social sciences. Also in our seed fund grants, if you look at, if you go to our webpage and look under seed fund awards, under some of our activities, we actually have some in the digital humanities areas, either teaching data science from a digital humanities perspective, like at schools where they don't have a data science program. Like I think Lafayette may be one of them, where they're liberal arts schools, and they may be colleges, not universities, and they don't have the resources someone like a URI has, but they do want to inject data science thinking into the curriculum. And so we have seed fund awards. And so God willing, if we get good news from NSF on our midterm site review and get to do this for 2 more years, our plan is to have another seed fund call for participation. And so that's one of the areas that people can participate in. Interestingly, there's a library who won a seed fund award from us, and it's Leventhal up at the Boston Public Library. I don't know if you know them. They do mapping and stuff like that. You do. A lot of people know them. They're very popular. And so you could actually look at the seed fund award that they received.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. And we would love to leverage libraries more to get to more humans in communities, in schools. So if you have any ideas on that, feel free to reach out to me. And I'd love to chat about that.
Thank you very much, Florence. Yeah.
Thank you. Great question. And thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Other questions?
I have a quick question. Oops, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, this is Shweta, and I'm doing MS in Applied Data Analytics from Boston University right now. And during my current day job, I'm a Scrum Master. I'm trying to shift my career towards data analyst. So, and this is my first time in data science, food for data science. So I would like to know more about the opportunities that you guys provide. I know you have spoken a lot about volunteering, the opportunities for students. I want to know more about in that area so that it will help me to gain some experience to apply for jobs. So
Very good. So I would suggest two things. One is if you want to get involved as a volunteer, so you can start seeing what it looks like when people talk about data science. You could volunteer and listen to the webinars, or just sign up to join some of the webinars, either, cybersecurity is data science, or the COVID Info Commons, or the Northeast Student Data Corps. That one will be really interesting to you. So the Northeast Student Data Corps Data Science Career Panel on April 16th, that's where people talk about, why did I do this? And actually, part of what Sanjana from IBM wants to talk about is, she was a mechanical engineer, and she wants to talk about, so what if you're not a data scientist and you want to get into it? How do you do that, right? So I think that would be a very interesting opportunity if you're available. It's on Friday, April 16th.
okay, sure. I'll enroll for it. And can you please provide me those details? I know you have mentioned it in the slide, but
Yeah.
are you going to share that slide?
Yeah, I
Information?
am. Yeah, and all you have to do, I'll put it in the chat, is
Okay.
let me just go to https:// isn't it terrible how we have, we're such geeks, we memorize URLs. Just go to nebigdatahub.org/NSDC, and right on
Okay.
that page, you'll see the flyer for the data science career panel, and then it says more information, and then you can go through and register.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Florence.
My pleasure. The other thing you could do is, while you're at the NSDC website, when you scroll down, if I try to share, I don't know if it's going to work, and I know we have to end in a minute, 3 minutes. So when you're on that page, if you, I'm going to try. Oof. I'm going to try here. So there's something called Learner Central, and you could actually go into that and look at some of the online free course material in data science that might be interesting to you. Let me try to share my screen. Everybody keep your fingers crossed that my video doesn't go. Can you see it?
Yep,
Great.
I see it.
Right. So here, like I said, if you go to nebigdatahub.org/NSDC, you could look at the data science career panels, and here's the information, and then you can learn more and, click through. You could watch the recording from the first one. We had other people speak. And then down here, we have resources for learners and educators. So here's a Learner Central. We have Educator Central for educators looking to create a data science curriculum, and then Career Central. And so you could look into these and learn all sorts of stuff. We have data ethics. We have different kind of levels. We have, are you just getting started? Do you have to learn pre-algebra? No prereqs up here. Is it introductory to intermediate? Are you ready for supervised machine learning? So we have different layers of things. And so you can go right to this website and start looking at some of this stuff and see what it's like. And you can take these classes for free.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you for
Florence.
joining us. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Laura Wilhelm, and I was wondering if I could ask a question. I don't know if you're finished yet, though. Did I interrupt?
No, I think we're done with Shweta,
No.
and I know Joan will have a question afterward, but why don't you go, Laura?
Okay, so very sorry. I'm a little rusty with this. I'm a psychotherapist and in private practice, and I'm looking on the preventive side. So much hell has broken loose because of lack of balance in the world, in both scientific and every which way, in my opinion. And I'm wondering, what group should I volunteer for in order to, just like the last person that talked. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. It's
Shweta. That's fine.
Shweta. Beautiful. I'm just wondering how to get involved on a looking at the systems where science meets mental health, and just like the other caller too.
Yeah,
So
very
I'm
good
not being
question.
very specific.
Well, but you're just starting. So of course, it's great that you're here. I'm delighted that you joined us today. So I would suggest a couple things. One is go to our website and look at the Seed Fund Awards. I showed quickly that one page of, they're in health, they're in these areas. See if there are any in areas that are interesting to you. And then you could reach out to the PIs. We have, their information on the website. And if not, you could always send us an email at contact@anyBigDataHub.org or just go to our website. It'll say contact us and you'll find us. And so that would be interesting because you may be able to find some applied examples. Regarding volunteer opportunities, I would say go to the Google form and maybe what you want to do is sign up for the Northeast Student Data Corps, because one of the things we're looking at is creating some specific use cases for data science for neuroscience, data science for social science, data science for psychology. And so as we look at those, it could be that we can help you and you can help yourself starting to find people that know stuff like that, because we do want to have some curated use cases that we apply. So people like you could say, oh, that's what it looks like when you use data science for this stuff.
Yeah, well, I understand. I understand, the basic premise, but and to get some cross pollination, and talk about what I'm observing and what you as data analysts and working towards funding, eventually towards actually prevention rather than disaster relief in conjunction. Kind of let's get behind, a think tank sort of thing. I can't say I've been in one before, but I think I have, as an artist and a psychotherapist, have some input. I love science too, so they're all fine art, and I'd like to contribute more and learn more. You know what I mean?
I love that combination. That's what I learn every day. So I'm with you.
Yes.
Go to the NSDC website, anybigdatahub.org/NSDC, like I put in the chat before. And you could actually also join the Slack channel and put in there what your interest areas are. And then maybe we're trying to figure out how to curate that to get like birds of a feather together. We can create little channels in it and stuff like that. So I think that would be a good place to jump in. And then we can figure out how to find people like you. And you can try to find it. Like you'd say, hi, this is me. This is what I want to talk about.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for joining.
I think we still have time for John questions. So John, please go ahead.
Hi, Florence. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me. This is your fault. Thank you.
Yeah, I take full responsibility. My question is about K through 12. Do you have any thoughts on what the data science community should be doing to prepare students to engage with data?
Yeah, I do. So actually on our data science resource repository, we actually have some K through 12 materials, believe it or not. So I'm going to share my screen again. You can tell I was a VP of marketing at IBM. I always have to show the stuff, right? But that's why we communicate, so we can make things more clear. So if you look at resources, and there's a data science resource repository, when you look at this, we have resources for educators and resources for learners. And I think it might be under here, let me see. We actually have a K through 12. Let me see where it is. Let me put it up here. Actually, it's K through 4. There was a program we had called Big Data for Little Kids, which is so cute. And so we actually have some materials in here. I have to find it. But I know we have it in here. So let me see. If you send me an email, then I can find the direct link for you.
Will do. Thank you.
It might be under, here we go. So it's in data science resources for educators under data science curriculum development, because the kids aren't going to create their own curriculum. Well, some of them are really smart and can, but K through 4, they're not going to create their own curriculum. But this is the result of some work we did with the New York Hall of Science, which works with children a lot, which you may be aware of. And so this is called Big Data for Little Kids. And there's a report that talks about, how do you engage little kids to start thinking about data? And in their context, they did it based on the different things they have at the Hall of Science. So they have, different things you can interact with. What do you teach them? But it gives you a good feel for how do you get started thinking about how to explain it to them and helping them think that way, right? A lot of the students on my team, they know I say, well, part of what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to think in different ways, right? Which will help you as you move forward. And so there's also machine learning for kids. There's some high school stuff in here, but I would say starting with that, big data for little kids is a good start.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay,
Maybe
great.
I will have a quick question here. By then.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you talked about disaster management, you said that there is some opportunity for collaboration. I wasn't sure what did you mean by collaboration? Is collaboration to write proposal together or to submit to what kind of collaboration?
There's always an opportunity to find someone to collaborate with and submit a proposal together. So like through our COVID Info Commons, there were 2 researchers that presented on a KIC webinar. One was from USC, and they do ground glass opacity research for lungs and COVID, which is one of the things that they see in your lungs when you have COVID. And then the other is was doing the same thing at another university. They were like, oh my gosh, you do this too, And so they actually have submitted a new proposal together for more grant funding. So if you're, depending on what you're involved in, what we're starting to do, as I mentioned, is reach out to natural hazard and disaster and pandemic researchers, which sounds so sad. You have to just stay clinical about it though. So I spoke with a woman that does floods. And so what we're planning to do is have a KIC webinar, COVID Information Commons webinar, that talks about the confluence of COVID and flooding. What does that mean? What's the collaborative multidisciplinary research that you need to do? What insights do you need? What insights can you leverage and how do you apply them on the response side? So we're going to start that discussion with floods and pandemics together. And then I'm also working with other hazard people. So we're going to see how we can do more with that. So if you have any expertise in any of those areas, or you're just interested, I currently have, as I mentioned, I have a freshman from CMU, God bless her, that was on this, project website. And I said she wanted to do natural hazards and pandemics. I'm like, man, she already knows that. Is so cool. We definitely want to pull her in so she can be the leader of the future, or one of them. You could join some of these subject matter expert interviews that I do. If you have expertise, you could help us. We're actually writing a proposal to NSF. So we are going to be doing that hopefully in the next couple of months. It's been a little crazy. We had our NSF site review. So we were like heads down for like 3-4 months, trying to pass the test, So that's an opportunity. You can always reach out to me. And I think you have my email too. Yeah. Does that help you?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. My pleasure.
Yeah. You have any other question? I believe that we are close to the end. So thank you so much, Florence. I appreciate joining us today. Thank you for the impressive talk. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today. Thank you also, Brian, Indrani, and Joan, and for taking care of this great event. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you so much for having me. And please join our real program. We want to see if anybody cares.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe and well.